Dead. The two main characters of 1001 Nights. Legendary stories inspired by the opulence of Harun al-Rashid's court. The golden age of the Abbasid Caliphate.
بغداد أصبحت مدينة الدنيا، لأنه هذه المدينة لا يأتيها الفلاح ولا يأتيها العامل فقط، فبغداد تجمع بها كل علماء العالم وكل مثقفي العالم وكل أدباء العالم وكل نقاشي العالم وكل مهندسي العالم وكل أطباء العالم، ولذلك صارت مدينة للعلماء.
Under al-Rashid, scholars began the great task of transcribing and translating the cultural and scientific works of former civilizations. Encouraged and supported by the Abbasid caliphs, Muslims began adding their own scholarship to this stock of human knowledge, laying the groundwork for Europe's Renaissance in centuries to come.
Ibn Sina, or the West knows as Avicenna, had written not only philosophical texts, but also a very important treatise on medicine. It was translated into Latin, became the standard textbook for European medical schools for centuries.
But the golden age of the Abbasids was destined to be short-lived. In 836, the 8th Abbasid Caliph, al-Mu'tasim, moved his capital here, to Samarra in Iraq. It was also to be a military base for the Caliph's new army, an army of Turkic mercenaries, toughened by life on the steppes of Central Asia. An army that would soon erode the power of the caliphs.
بدأ العنصر العربي يبتعد شيئا فشيئا عن مصائر الأمور في الدولة العباسية، حيث أكثر المعتصم من الأتراك وأصبح هم أصحاب النفوذ الحقيقي.
In 847, here in Samarra, Turkic army commanders installed al-Mutawakkil as the 10th Abbasid Caliph. And for a century to come, they would effectively rule the Caliphate, appointing, deposing, torturing, and even killing a string of 12 caliphs who were little more than puppets.
ولم يبقى للخليفة يعني إلا الصفة الاسمية والشرعية، حتى كان يقال خليفة في قفص بين وصيف وبغى يقول لهما كما تقول الببغاء.
The caliphate clearly had become a symbol and had no effective power anymore. And in the Muslim world we had a multitude of different political regimes in the various parts, reaching from what is today Spain to the sub-Asian continent. Often this period is seen as a period of decline because of these political divisions.
But it wasn't just a matter of the slow fracturing of the state. At its western edge, a new threat was on the rise. Mahdiyya, this small town on the Tunisian coast, would soon emerge as the seat of a rival caliphate. And this new caliph would not be Sunni, but Shia. Iran, heartland of Shia Islam in the modern world. Today, Shia make up around 15% of the global Muslim population of more than 1.5 billion. In their belief, it is the title of Imam and not Caliph that confers the right to rule. the vast majority of Shia in the world are known as Twelvers. They follow a hereditary line of 12 Imams descended from Ali, the Prophet's cousin, and his wife, Fatima, the Prophet's daughter. A line ending with the last Imam, Al-Mahdi. The Twelver Shia belief holds that Al-Mahdi disappeared in Samarra in 874. He will re-emerge at the end of the world as the ultimate savior of mankind.
يعني لو سألتني عن الخلافة أو الإمامة كما يؤمن بها الشيعة وهل هي وراثية أم ليست وراثية، لقلت لك نعم هي وراثية. سلالة الرسول من ابنته فاطمة هم الأئمة من بعده، وبالتالي فإن هذه الخلافة تعتبر وصية دينية وليست وراثية.
But this holy commandment was no protection against a deep divide in Shia belief. Al-Kazimiyya Mosque, Baghdad. The shrine of the man who marks the division of Shi'ism into two strands. It is the tomb of the seventh of the Twelvers Imams, Musa al-Kazim, who died here in the year 799. Others, however, dispute his status. They consider the real seventh Imam to be his brother, Ismail. They came to be known as Ismaili Shia.
The Twelver Shiites were traditionally not interested or did not strive to take political power because they believed that they were waiting for the return of the Mahdi, so that at that point the righteous regime would be installed and anything in between would basically be a heresy to rule in these lands.
But for the Ismaili Shia, there was to be no waiting for the return of the Mahdi. By the late 9th century, their preaching had taken root among the Berber tribes in North Africa. A new movement was on the rise, with its roots firmly in the Shia tradition.
لم يقع الإعلان من أول على أنها هي حركة تريد إقامة خلافة، لا، كان أهم شعار هو العدل بين كل المسلمين، النصر للمستضعفين. يعني كانت في الأساس حركة ذات وجه اجتماعي، وبالطبع العنصر الهام هو الحكم لآل البيت لنشر العدل.
In the year 909, in Kairouan, Tunisia, Ubaydullah, a man claimed to be a descendant of Ismail, was declared the Caliph of the first ever Shia Caliphate. It would be known as the Fatimid, after Fatima, daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, an ancestor of all the Imams.
The concept of the Ismaili Caliphate is completely different from the Abbasid Caliphate because of the claim to divine inspiration and divine guidance which the Fatimids put forward. They certainly developed an institution which was theoretically completely different from the Abbasid.
The Fatimids now began to expand their state westwards into the Maghrib. But this would lead to a clash with another major Muslim power. And soon, the Islamic world would find itself in a surreal position. By 912, the Umayyad Emirate in Andalusia was over a century and a half old. Ruled from Cordoba by the 8th Emir, ʿAbdullāh III. After crushing all rebellions and uniting Andalusia, he looked towards expanding southwards across the Mediterranean.
The establishment of the Fatimid Caliphate in what is now Tunisia, which was called Ifriqiya at the time, meant a big threat for the Umayyads in terms of their political control of the Berber polities that existed in the area.
To strengthen his position, in 929, Abdurrahman declared the Andalusian Emirate an independent Umayyad Caliphate. Three centuries on from the founding of the title, the Islamic world was now divided between three caliphs, two Sunni and one Shia.
The ultimate result of that really was a decline in the value put on the notion of the caliphate itself. So it leads to huge rifts, politically speaking, within the community, as well as the religious differences that these different caliphates signal.
In Baghdad, the suffering of the Abbasid caliphs continued under Turkic military domination. But by the mid-10th century, a new force had emerged. The Buyids, a Persian dynasty, put an end to Turkic control of the caliphate.
تولى بنو بويه وهم شيعة، ومع ذلك أبقوا الخليفة السني في بغداد. ليش؟ لأنه قالوا إذا ولينا واحد شيعي معناه إذا أمر الجند بقتلنا يقتلونه، ومن الأفضل أن نبقي على هذا السني، فإن أمرنا جندنا بقتله فيقتلوه.
Worse still was to come for the Abbasids. In 969, a Fatimid army captured Egypt. 3 years later, the fourth Fatimid Caliph, Al-Mu'izz, abandoned his capital, Mahdiya in Tunisia, and headed east. For the next 2 centuries, the newly built city of Cairo would serve as the seat of the Shia Caliphate.
The Fatimids considered their caliphate universal, so ideally they wanted to expand their power from their original base in North Africa back into Egypt, on into Syria, and ultimately to encompass the whole Islamic world. They weren't able to achieve that, and what instead happened in the 10th century was the Islamic world became divided between a number of different caliphates.
Meanwhile, in the west, a storm was gathering. Christians, uniting under the banner of the cross, were looking eastward to conquer the Holy Lands. The approaching struggle could not have come at a worse time for a divided Muslim world, and for the caliphs who were at their weakest point as they turned to face the Crusades.